Day so far. It's a fine morning. Yeah, welcome to our session today on securing on how to secure web application. Remember, you have Navy Chege will be taking us through the session. Yeah, hope you enjoy the session, and maybe if you have any question, you can just pop it in the chat, or you can just come off mute or raise up your hand, and yeah, we shall get to it. So, Neville, welcome. The floor is yours. You can start by introducing yourself. Yeah, the rest will catch up with us as we go on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So once again, good morning.
Yeah, morning.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is Chengeneville. As you can see, a bit of my description is being displayed on your screen. Basically, who Chengeneville is a SOC analyst. I work as a SOC analyst at Seriano. I'm also a penetration tester, and I love playing CTFs. So today I'm going to take you through securing web application. And I'm delighted, I'm really happy to carry on with this session because empowering, doing trainings and engaging, sharing ideas is part of what I love the most. Maybe many of you, maybe I might have interacted with you in various occasions because over the years, I think in the past at least 5 years, I've been doing campuses and all that. So I believe many of you, I might have interacted with you in one way or another. For those who don't know me, for today, maybe you won't see me. I'm not able to turn off my camera, but you can catch up with me on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn at Chengeneville. Yeah, I think there you'll have a view of my professional profile and all that. So looking forward to have a very interactive session with you guys. My session are always interactive. I like interacting with my audience in a sense that we share ideas with we're able to communicate. Feel free in case you have any question, uh, don't be shy, just ask it and we'll be able to share uh, ideas. So let's focus on the topic of the day, that is securing web application. So what do we not while we hear about web, we are thinking of web and security, securing web application. I believe many of you here are developers, or rather, many of the guys in the IT field will find that at least your basis are from programming. Many of us started with programming because when you go to, maybe you are in campus or college, you are taking any IT related course, basically you'll have to do some programming. I believe in programming, starting with web, it's a bit easy for almost everyone. You'll find at least everyone has some basic knowledge of coming up with a simple website. Many of us advance and come up with even more complex websites, or websites that can be used with enterprises or in a corporate world. So today I'm going to feature all of us because talking about security is a key component while doing any development process, be it web, be it Android, be it system development, any type of development that you'll be doing in the cyberspace. It's very important if you focus security, because without security, your application will lack meaning. If your application gets compromised, then rather than it serving its purpose, it may end up causing much more damage. That's why it's very important for us to create security awareness programs whereby developers, IT administrators, anyone who is in the field of IT, and those even who do not take IT or are in other field really need to know about security, because the future holds a lot of technology, and no matter where you are, you need to be security aware. Even the security awareness doesn't just focus the developers, the users are also key. Uh, there are also key aspects when we are looking at security, because hackers will compromise the system in any way. Anyway, looking into the vulnerability that the system has, by even exploiting the vulnerability that the user have. Like the biggest vulnerability that a user can have is lack of consent, or be unaware of security, of the key security features while you are using any application. That's the biggest vulnerability, because the system can be easily exploited by him or her being a link. So looking at the web security, we'll start by trying to understand what is a web application, and or rather what's web application security. In the early ages of technology, there was Web 1, whereby this web just consists, the web 1 consisted of just the basic web pages. It really didn't have much of an interaction with the user. So Web 1, I could say maybe it's just a form of, it looked like a form of display, let's say like a magazine, whereby the only thing you can do just by looking at the pages and all that. So user interaction with the web was very minimal, and by then cyber attacks was as well minimal. Attacking such a web didn't mean much. But now we had Web 2. That's web application version 2, whereby now this is a dynamic website whereby it has a lot of interaction with the user. You find that users can be able to upload their stuff. User can be able to log into the system. Now these are the system that has it contained databases. Web 1 didn't have that. So you find that here there is a lot of interaction by the user. I like giving example. So I'll start by, I'll give a very common example. Let's say Facebook. While you are using Facebook, you haven't downloaded the app, you're using the website. You'll find that even in the web, you'll find you can be able to upload your photos. There is so much data about you that is being exposed there. You can be able to edit anything. With the Web 1, you could not come and now do that. You're creating an account, that you're adding your username, you're changing your profile picture each and every now and then, you're uploading your photos, your posts. Yeah, like today, if you go to LinkedIn, you'll find that today's session was posted with an image and some text. You see, that's how big that interaction is with your website. And even if that post is not going to be deleted, even in 10 years to come, for as long as LinkedIn will still exist, you'll find that post there. Meaning there is a lot of data coming in, there is a lot of interaction being done, and now this is where attackers or the bad guys come into picture. So when I talk of the bad guys, those are basically the black hat hackers, whereby their intention is either to harm the system, or they have some personal gain after they do a certain type of attack. So it came to a senses whereby now we have to really be keen about Web 2. This is the dynamic website, because there is so much coming in and there is so much attacks that can happen. Talking about it contains a database, then that means there is one common attack we'll start by thinking of. One common attack that is SQL injection. Looking at SQL injection is an attack. It's a type of attack whereby its main target is the database. It targets the data storage of the website. And if that's the data storage, that means everything that the web contains, every user record, everything for a given user or every user of the system can be accessed if this type of attack happens. So that will tell us we really need to be keen while creating our websites. There are key things that we need to look at while we are creating our website, the way we interact it, we linked it with to our databases. Yeah, you can have, there is different database schemas or architects that you can create. You developers, I think you know that. If we go into deep into creating the databases and all that, will take a bit of math, will take a lot more time. But I won't leave stone unturned. At least I'll be mentioning some key things that you really need to look at as a developer while deciding on what databases to use. Also, we have different database, like you all know, there are so many. And these all databases, they have their unique features and how one can be able to interact with it and how one can be able to look and how one can be able to work with it. So another key thing that an attack can happen to a website, we can look at even rather than SQL injection, we also have some other injection like URL injection. These are the anywhere that we have an input field, most probably will find that a type of an injection attack can happen anywhere in your website whereby there is an input field. We also have some other very weird attacks such as cross-site scripting, the local file inclusion attacks. These are the things that you really need to focus on because there is some various ways to mitigate such attack from the developer level. Like while you're creating your systems, there are things that you need to do. While your system is now being launched to be used, there is things that you still need to do. While your system is being used, there are still things that you'll be looking on. Like security is a continuous process whereby it has no end. Every now and then you need to keep your eyes to your application, looking at everything, making sure everything is okay. It's just an entire life cycle of the web application requires security at every single point. So we are moving into cloud computing, and as you know, in cloud computing, now people are coming and building very complex web applications that are this web application. They are very capable. Just as I have been saying, they are they're capable of having so much digital copies of someone. Almost everything that is contained in your life, you now find that it can be found on internet. Everything, whereby security again becomes a very key concern. So you need to look at security from both the server side and the client side, whereby now, at the past, maybe you could say, okay, having done a security audit or taking any security measure is something that, like it's a luxury. You see, something that's a luxury is something that you can do without it. Like it's not really necessary. If I want to do it, I'll do it. If I don't want, then it's okay. But as per now, security is something that you cannot do without it. Like it's a basic need whenever you're having your application out there. If you don't focus on security, then you're doomed. So let's see, why should we think of having these security features? Because I'm telling you, if you don't have it, you're doomed. If you don't have it, you're finished. But let's look at why. Why am I finished if I don't have it? Because it's a key thing that I know these are the key questions that you'll ask yourself. Why do I need it? Yeah, you've talked about SQL attack, yes. But what if I've secured my database? Then what next? I think that's enough. I don't need more security. But I'm here to tell you why. Why is security important to the entire life cycle of your development process? The like of software in general. So looking at, we'll just look at the few, a few consequences that one may face whenever you miss to look at the key security features to add on your system. So the first
Hey, Nabil.
thing, yes,
Yeah, I
yeah,
hope you
hello.
are on the first slide yet.
Okay. I don't have much slide. I didn't prepare more of a notes because
Oh,
I like just coming up. It's just a sharing thing, but maybe later I can share resources if you want.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, that slide is just for my introduction, but again, this is an interactive session whereby I'm just going to share things as it is. Okay, I hope that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, you can share the resources later.
Consequences that one may face if you're going to ignore the key security features. One and the most important is loss of customer data. Because while you are creating a website, basically you want to bring it into the market, you want it to be, you think of it as something that it can generate revenue. And that means you'll require users in your website, and these now are the customers. While we are accessing LinkedIn, we are their customers. We are accessing Teams, we are their customers. Any website, most of the websites you are trying to attempt to, you're trying to visit uh, and insert your data, and you serve a big purpose to that website as well. So loss of customer data, it's a critical issue that really needs to be looked at, because if you're not going to secure your application and there is loss of data, then there'll be lack of trust between you and the customers or the people who use your website. Uh, these people will try to look at the alternatives. What can they use rather than your website or rather than your application? Because exposing personal data is very important, and some of the data are very critical. Like you see, organizations end up backing up their data. So if your application is serving as the one that is there to store their data, like it's a backup plan, their data is a backup plan, and then it end up being compromised, then that means that data as, like, the essence of that data is now being compromised, and it will really mean a lot to an organization. There are so much sensitive data that are being uploaded, like you have the password, you have someone's password, you have some very, very, very sensitive information. Even if it's in a hospital environment, there are some patients record that they really need to remain private. In no way they should be exposed. So if you find this customer data is being exposed, it will may end up shutting down your entire application, like, or your entire business. Of which, that's why I said security is a very important thing. So looking at the most recent attacks, let's just think of it. A present attack that just happened recently, because there is this Ford website. The Ford website, it had a vulnerability that it caused the employment record and customer data were leaked. So you see, such a vulnerability ends up making, what should I call it? It can really remove you from the map, like your business and your entire operation can shut down, can come to a standstill after having such an attack whereby customer data is being lost. Even if it's not customer, even your individual data can take, if it goes down, you find that you don't have even the stamina or to come up again. So again, that goes hand in hand in loss of revenue. At some point, when you are faced with an attack, you may end up losing money, because if sensitive information are being stored online, that means, let's look at, when we look at revenue, let's a bit focus more, let's say, on the banking sector, or any financial institution, you find that if your applications are being attacked, there is a high chance that you are going to lose revenue or loss of cash. Because this attacker will be looking to, if I get this data, what can I be able to do with it? If I'm getting passwords, if I'm getting access to very critical systems, what am I going to do with them? I know the entire record of your customers. It's a banking sector or a financial institution. You find I know that this person has a certain amount of balance in their account. This other person has this balance. I know the entire organization or the institution has this amount of money. Why? And I'm capable of taking that money. So you find that you're going to lose a lot of money if the bad guys get their hands to your system if they are not secure. And that will also cause the lack of trust to customers. You find that some attacks like data breach, yeah, or it's a ransomware attack, and many other web hacks will cause the customer to lack trust in you. That's why I said you'll find they'll think of a different option rather than the options that you are giving them. If it's a banking sector, people will opt to bank with a different institution rather than yours because your systems are not secure and they are afraid of losing their data. They're afraid of losing their investment, their income that is with you might be lost or it's already lost. So they will not take another risk of banking with you or doing anything with you. So maybe you are not the one that you own the bank, but now you are the developer, you are the IT admin, you are the person that is there to make sure that system is okay, that system is safe. So when such thing happen, what happens to you? You have you lose your job. Uh, even like everything about you will come to a standstill. Imagine that organization that you are kept there to protect it. It has been compromised to a point whereby it cannot rise again. Your reputation will be lost, like your reputation will be highly compromised. No one else will really need to employ you. You'll find that people are afraid to do it. So it's very important to focus on the security. There are some other compliance and penalties that are in place by many governments. Uh, you'll find that government have put in place some penalties or some compliance whenever there is data loss. You find that if if you end up being attacked, like there is a data breach in your organization, you'll be asked to pay some certain compensation fee to the people that have been affected and to the government. There is a thing I saw recently whereby Safaricom was trying to reduce the customer data exposure, whereby rather than in your M-Pesa message coming in with your phone number, your name, and so many other data, they are trying to now reduce the amount of data being exposed to the public. Like you find that in most cases, customer data is being exposed that much. So we now think in a way, security-wise, how can we reduce data exposure? How can we reduce data loss? Like too much data being exposed there, it's a risk. It's a risk to the organization, it's the risk to the customers because you get to tell people more about you, and at some point you find this information, it's critical. It's something that should be kept private in a sense. So we hope in the near future or days to come, you see there is advancement in security, advancement in the development field, and all that. So, having talked about the risk and the reasons as to why you need to focus on security, let's look now how can you do that. Let's look at the best practices to take while you are doing any security, whether you're developing, whether you are security, you're a system administrator, or even you as a user. Let's look at the best practice to cover while you are the best practice to cover while you are handling any web application. In case you have a question, you can as well raise your hands. I can be able to see. If you raise your hands, I'll be able to see and then give you a chance to ask a question. So let's look at the web application best security practices to do while you are, even if you're a web application user or all those spaces that I've mentioned. So the first thing you'll find that it's very crucial to do is you need to carry a full-scale security audit. Security audit, like when I talk of full-scale security audit, that means you don't leave any stone unturned. Like you do a full, like that means the security audit starts from the back end, you come to the front end, you look at the server, you look at everything, every aspect, even the devices. Like if possible, you can even check the device to make sure that everything is running okay. You find that when you're running a full-scale security audit, it's whereby now you'll see some various aspects of black box security audit. There is a white box security audit. There is gray box security audit. And I'm going to explain bit by bit. So for a black box security audit, you find that this is a type of audit that is being done whereby the client or the owner of the system does not give the person who is not, the person who needs to do the audit is not given much information. Is given almost none. Like you might give him the URL of what you need to be tested, and that's it. Like you don't want to expose much information, and you want to test to see if from an attacker's perspective, these are now the bad guys. The bad guys basically at most they need to gather information by themselves to ensure they can be able to figure out or find what information can be of help to them. That's now what we call the information gathering and the enumeration phase. So here in black box security audit, you find that the penetration tester does not have so much clues about the system. And there are various ways in which one can be able to carry on with one can be able to gather information about a given target. So I'll also like to demonstrate. Maybe we can just run. There are various tools that one can use to do the security audit. Let me just start I'm using I'll be using a virtual machine that is running Parrot OS. So there are various tools that one can use while conducting a security vulnerability assessment, or just looking at what are the vulnerabilities that the website might contain. So at the meantime, I'll keep on sharing with you these other audits like white box. Now, white box security audit is whereby the person who is doing the audit is given a bit more information. Like you have so much information about your target, so it becomes even like while you are doing now your vulnerability assessment, or you are trying to figure out if the system contain this type of vulnerability, or where is this system compromised, or where is their weakness in this system. That's whereby you find a white box security audit. You have a lot of information where you may end up missing out on doing some reckoning stuff. Then we have a gray box security audit. So gray box, just as the name suggests, yeah, in chromatic, like in colors, you'll find that black and combining black and white, you come up with gray. So we are going to look at now the gray box security audit. Here is whereby you find that just a person might have a little bit of knowledge about the target. Again, you don't have so much. You see, it's just way in between. That's a gray box security audit. So most likely you'll find that I'll relate them with even the type of attacks whereby we know hackers. There is the black hat hackers, there is the gray hat hackers, there is a white hat hacker, and all that. There is a red hat hacker. So just to focus on these three, you'll find that a black hat hacker mostly will have the intention of manipulating the system for his personal gain. Unlike unlike now the white hat hacker, you'll find the white hat hacker are basically the people who are known as ethical hackers, whereby the ethical hackers are being given permission to do an attack on a given system. And after they do an attack to a system, their point is to share and with the person, the owner of the system, and tell them this is where you need to fix, this is where we have issues, and all that, of which organization are really investing in. They're really investing in penetration testing that's being done by ethical hackers. So I'm going to share my screen, just a minute. I'm going to share my screen. So we are going to look at maybe I'll just demonstrate. I'll demonstrate a bit of. Let's just look at vulnerability rather than talking and all that. At least I love putting my hands on session, whereby we can be able to look at some few things. Yeah, we are talking of web. So a bit of black box black box security audit, whereby maybe you have a URL, just a single URL. So anyone who knows of a URL that is free to test, we cannot test the URL that we are not given permission. That's another thing that you really need to look at as a security profession. So that's an open question. Anyone who feels like there is some various web applications that are free up there to test for security reasons. Let me see. We can have one application to look at. Up to that point, by the way, this is the point whereby if you have a question before I continue, you can as well ask. I said you can raise your hands. I've not seen anyone raising their hands. I hope we are all together. Humphrey, you can help me whenever someone has a question, maybe they have raised their hands, you can let me know.
Yeah, I'm looking into the chat. Yeah, I guess there is no question yet. In case there is, I'll let you know.
So there's so many links. I'm just trying to see the best, maybe the one that you can relate to. I'll look at a certain URL here. So I believe you can see my screen. I'm using a Parrot here. So with Parrot, we have various tools that one can use as a penetration tester. Especially now when you are doing a web, you can see while you do web analysis, there is so much that you can be able to cover. I'm going to demonstrate these few tips. There is now the information gathering phase, of which you'll have a lot to do. So this covers across even networking, the everything. But today our focus will be for web. So we'll be doing web analysis, and the tool that I'll be using is the OWASP Zap. So there is some other things that you can do there is so many tools that that can be used to carry out a web vulnerability analysis. So BAPSIP is one of them. There are so many. WordPress Scan. We have the GroupBuster, we have the Direct2Buster, we have the WeFuzz. There's another
Okay,
tool you can use
maybe
for
there is a
vulnerability against
question.
scanning. We have a very common one like Nikto. Yeah. Then I'll be using OWASP Zap. We have the WordPress Scan and all that. And there's some other tools that come like from the developer tools in a web application, of which we are going to look at all of that.
Maybe there is a question here. Hello, hope you can hear me.
I hope you are recording the session. Are you recording the session?
Yeah, the session is being recorded.
Yeah, hello, Ampy.
Yeah, the session is being recorded. Hello. Yeah, the session is being recorded.
Okay, good.
And also there is a question here from Chorus. He's asking between what there is Parrot and Kali. Why would you prefer Parrot as your option?
Okay, good. Now, I think your voice is faint. I can hear you from a distance, but it's okay. I've seen in the chat you say you can hear, and I can see the session is recording. It's good for future reference. You can as well follow up. Mostly, I don't do more of getting the slides and all that, but I like to do hands-on sessions. I said I'm going to look at a certain website. Let me just type it here. So I'll just do the common HTTP. This is a URL that we are going to look at. It's free to test. Let me look. Sorry. Okay, at that point, it's like, let me just add some argument to it. I'm trying to get the exact URL. Okay, that one seems like, let me see. It does not have a direct link. Sorry guys, just give me a minute. There is some, this is just a technical issue with the machine. Okay, machine is kind of, okay, working with the VM can be a bit tricky. Yeah, I think it's now responding. I can as well just check it here. Okay, the VM is being unresponsive. I don't know if I should change the machine. Yeah, so it's okay. It will not stop us from moving on. So I hope it's okay if you just give me 2 minutes. I can swap the machine with the Linux one. Sorry for the inconvenience. Just give me a minute. I swap the machine and then I can present using the other machine. Yeah, so this is when you need to have a backup plan sometimes when you have technical issues. But I apologize for that. So as my machine goes up, I'll still mention a few things that we're looking at. I said for you to be able to secure your website, there's some practices that you need to carry on. The first one I said you need to carry out a full-scale security audit. Whereby we have talked about the black box, the white box, and the gray box security. The second point I was to mention was about ensuring your data is encrypted. That means okay. When you talk of data, we can have data at rest and data at transit. So whenever your data is at rest, that's when your data is stored in whatever database you're using. When your data is in transit is when now the applications are trying to communicate to each other, trying to share information. That's where again you really need to make sure that this data is encrypted. In web application, you'll find that now we were using the SSL certificates, whereby rather than having the HTTP, we are having HTTPS, whereby it has some encryption. There is some encryption mechanism put in place to ensure that whatever is being transmitted, it's a bit secure. That's why you'll find that when you are browsing a website with HTTP, they will mention to you that that website is not secure. But now we are moving from SSL to TLS encryption, whereby TLS is more advanced than SSL. I really like to demonstrate all that, so I'm almost there. Just give me a second. I'm almost there. Sorry for the inconvenience. So we are having yes. Sorry for the inconvenience. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So I'm logging in with a different device. I'm still running Parrot OS. Let me stop presenting here so that I can present to the other end. Someone can let me in. Okay, thank you. There we are. I believe my screen can be seen. So I'll quickly just look at we'll quickly look at one vulnerable website. But again, I'm on Parrot, so it's just the same thing. I'm going to start my vulnerability scanning tool, whereby I'll be using OWASP-ZAP, as I mentioned earlier. So that's OWASP-ZAP, it's starting. So using such a tool as OWASP-ZAP, you can be able to carry out an automated, let me just close that. You can be able to carry out an automated scan or a manual scan. So as for now, we are going to do an automated scan. And just want us to find the exact URL that you can be able to use it. So as you can see, this is just the user interface of OWASP-ZAP. It's a graphical user tool. So for web vulnerability assessment, we said there are so many tools. Like today, I'll demonstrate one for this is the graphical user interface tool, of which it's OWASP-ZAP. And then I'll use even one more tool that is not user friendly, that runs on the terminal. So there is some various web applications that you can be able to look at. But let me just have a look at this common one. I'll share it in the browser so that you can be able to confirm it's a running web application. So let me just try and find CTF-LAN. So we have this website here. So I'll just choose two. We have another one of which is the DVWA, the Damn Vulnerable Web Application. So let me just also look at the DVWA. DVWA, the website, where is it? I can't find the exact URL. Okay, they don't have an actual website, but I'll not have to start the VM because I have Metasploitable 2 in my VM. Starting Metasploitable 2, I can be able to host the DVWA locally, and that's how we can be able to do a test, but that will require a lot of time. So we are going to look at this website. You can see it's a website that can collect personal details like the username, the email, and even the password. That's when you are registering for an account. Someone can also log in as well if you have an account. So let's go and look at this. This is the main domain of the website, ctflan.com. Website can have subdomains. So while you are doing your penetration, you're enumerating the website as a penetration tester, you'll have to figure out, gather a lot of information about these targets. You can use a various tools like FHUFF, you can use GoBuster, you can use so many tools to figure out different things. Like here, we know we have the login page because when you click on the login, we find that we have a login page, but this login page is under user. We have user and then login. So that means that already we can be able to see the file path, like the system, there is a directory known as user, and then we have the login. So before we continue, we can also want to know what are the things that this website, what are the builders of this website, because you guys, maybe if you're a developer, here we can be able to tell what language you use, what server is hosting this website, and all that information. So to be able to use this, to look at those things, we can make use of a very useful tool known as Opalizer. It's just, you can add it as an browser extension, whereby for my browser it's right here, whereby you can be, here you can see we have Opalizer. So clicking on it, you can find so much information about this website. You can see that some analytics, we have the PayPal marketing solution, Google Analytics, they are the ones that do analytics on this website. Marketing automation, we have the PayPal advertising, we have the Google AdSense. Issue trackers, we have Cloudflare. Security, they can be used, the reCAPTCHA payment, it's PayPal used for payment. Yeah, so there is so much, the fonts, there is some JavaScript library, the UI framework. So yeah, this is so much information about this website. We can just have a look at it using the Opalizer. So that's the tool, that's the name. My cursor is just there to show you the name. If you want to note down the tool, it's written WAPPIZER, Opalizer. You can note it down. It's a very useful tool just to track what information the website contains, or what is the builders of this website. So far we know a few things about the website. So we'll go ahead and we know what are the builders. We know it has different parts. When we go to login, we know there is the user directory, then there is the login page. So I'll copy this URL. I'm going to copy the URL. I'll copy that URL and come and insert the URL where to our OWASP Zap tool, whereby I'm going to start an automated scan for us to be able to save time. And then I'll insert that URL. So this is the main domain of the CTF LAN website. So I'll make sure every other thing is correct, and then I'll just click the attack button. So I will be watching right down here, whereby we'll be seeing some alerts that will be flagged, and some other information. Here on top we have the request. You can see whenever the web request is made, and then we'll be receiving some response right here. On this other side, we'll be showing the sites. We have the various URL will be displaying here under this site. So we have the ctflan.com. If you break it down, you can see we are trying to find, this is a very important file, robots.txt. We can as well check if we can see the robot.txt. So under this URL, if I do so, we can see we have some information here being told. I see this is an HTML file, but disallow. I'll go back to the tool so that I can continue do my analysis. So there is a run to a sitemap. Yeah, the HTML document that we saw here is here. So many, I think it's some encrypted data, or I don't know, some scrambled text .html, but that way you can know it's an HTML. So the request are being made. You can see we have a GET request. That's the host, the CTF LAN. Yeah, our agent is there. and we also captured a cookie. We can have a cookie right here. We're able to capture a cookie right here. So looking at the response that we get, you can see we have a flag right here. Supposing it was a CTF, just by using this tool, maybe you could capture the first flag. If you are playing CTF, here is where you can see just under the response, you can see your first flag here. We have the CTF LAN, robots, something. I hope that's a bit visible. So I'll try to reduce this so that I can continue analyze the response. We're just using an open source tool. This is a free tool. You can it's just it's installed. It's by default on Parrot. I don't know Kali, but Parrot and Kali are the commonly used operating system for penetration testing because they come with so many tools pre-installed. You find so many tools come pre-installed. So analyzing this, there are so many, you can see there are so many headers. So much information can be analyzed here. I'll not go in depth because of as well time. It can take us so much time because I have a lot lined up for us. So here there are so many things you can look at. I think there is a challenge. There is a field known as challenge. We have not logged in, but we can be able to tell there is some good stuff right here. We can continue to navigate. You can look at the user. So we have the forgot password. You can see the response for forgot password. You can look at the request. There is no cookie there. You can see here we have some token up here. The CSRF token right here, whereby it's a post request for forgot password. A mail is involved. And there is the login here. Looking at the response, we have a cookie here. So there's so much information that you can capture with this tool, and this is just we are just doing an overview, an analyze. We are just analyzing this website, and it's just an overview. So we are going to see this is just the active scans that are being run here, whereby we are getting the results. So let's see at the alerts. What are the security alerts that we are going to receive? So looking at the security alerts, we can see there's they can be categorized as high, medium, low, and informational. So looking at such an attack, I think this first there are 10 alerts, but the first 8 are medium. They are flagged with a goldish color or yellow. I don't know. So you can see the risk. It's medium, but what's the vulnerability? We are being told there is absence of CSFR token, whereby we saw it here in forget password. Forget password. Where do I look? Here. Okay. Where is it? We saw it somewhere here. Where was it? I believe it was under forget password. So with this tool as well, you can see the code where the issue are, where something can be fixed. You can see this function here, the script here, whereby deals with the forget password thing. Let's look at this one. We have that function as well. You can have a look at the code. There's so much you can be able to look at. So let's keep looking at the attack. Let's keep looking at the alerts. So let me look at this second alert, whereby it's also a medium risk, whereby content security policy header is not set. Then we have missing anti-clickjacking headers. So when you go to the description, you can be able to tell what kind of vulnerability is that, and there is even some solution here that can be offered. So missing anti-clicking headers, we are being told that I'm just going to show you this one description here, whereby the description says the response does not include their content security policy with frame accent direct to X frame option to protect against clickjacking attacks. That's the description of such kind of vulnerabilities. We can see we have cookie without secure flag. We have so much things here. This is now low. Yeah, the attack was on, and you can see here we have now 11 alerts. They were 10. We are still having our active scan right here. It keeps on scanning the website. So much things are being scanned. And now we see the alerts have moved from 10 to 11, and we have even higher. We're having SQL injection here, of which its risk is high. So you can see here we have SQL injection. There is an SQL query that was done here. You can see this type of attack. This is an SQL query where we have and this and 1 is equals to 1 dash. So the parameter is under the mail. There is so much that you can do with this tool. We are being told here SQL injection may be possible. For now we'll have to look at the solution. Let's just look at the solution. Clicking on SQL injection. I like to see the requests. So you can see the CSFR token that we had the absence of. There was some risk here. So looking at the SQL injection, let's go back to the SQL injection there, so I can have entire information about it. So there are some SQL parameters being executed. There's more information that has been given there. So I'll read to you. Maybe it can be less visible, but I can read from there, whereby it says the parameter value being modified was stripped from HTML output for the purpose of the comparison. Data was returned for the original parameter. The vulnerability was detected by security restricting the data originally returned by manipulating the parameter. So that's a bit of information of what happened. Then there is a solution that says, do not trust client-side input. Even if there is a client-side validation in place, in general, type check all data on the server side. If the application uses IDBC, we are being told to use prepared statement or callable statement with parameters passes by a question mark. If the application uses ASP, use ADO command object with strong type of checking and parameterized query. So there is so much solution to be offered here. Let me just read the last one. If database stores procedures can be used, use them. Yeah. Okay, so here you can further just your research. There is some reference here whereby you can go and follow this reference and be able to learn more about what's happening. how you can be able to secure this system. That is, if you are a developer, if you are a security admin, or if you are doing pen test with this system, and there is some documentation of what can be done here to fix it. Yeah, so that is it. That was the attack right here. So it's CWAID, the Common Web. You can see it's 89. I'm also interested in the URL. You can see the URL that was being attacked. That's the URL that was being attacked. I'll copy it. Remember we said you'll find that we have the user directory, and then now it was login. We have the user forget password. So another tool that you can use to brute force directory, we have a tool like Buster can help you. The FFFF can help you. We have the directory Buster, it can help you to brute force the directory. That way you can be able to find after this domain so many directory lives that hold so many information. So I've copied that URL, whereby that's directing us to forget password. Yeah, so forgetting password, it's here, and here it's here it's where the sorry, here it's where the attack has happened. I'll play dump and just pick that type of attack. So so there is some warning here. I'll also like to inspect the page and be able to tell what happened. Though our tool also shows what happens. So you can see we are being told failed to send post message. I think what happens, we have the post. Let me just refresh it and see what happens. So here we are now utilizing the dev tools to be able to look at some few things. I'll just do that so that I can have so we have a document here. This is a document. Forget password. You can have a look at it. Okay. That means it's either HTML. Let's go back. So that you can look. So you can have a look at the headers as well and see the request. You can see the IP. You can see the response. So file name, we have the f.txt. There's so much that you can analyze here for you to be able to figure out what's happening, how can you fix it. You can still at this forgot password. You can see there is some Cloudflare here. You can see the server. You can see the server is Cloudflare. We have the cookie here. So even discovering the server, it's very important. It's part of now information gathering. We are doing this from from a black box perspective, whereby by ourselves, maybe that guy didn't tell us, okay, we are using Cloudflare, or we are having this and this in place. By ourselves, we'll be able to know the method that are being used, if it's post request, post get, all that. So we can see stealing the cookie session can also be, they can also be used in various ways. Yeah, so up to this point, I think there is so much thing that we are trying to figure out. There are so much files here that you can, we have the index.html. I'll also like to look at it. Index.html. So under this site, you see the URL, it's PayPal object, PayPal object.com. But remember, using what Opalizer, we saw that PayPal is really involved here. Yeah, you can see the payment process. So this deals with finances, and also it's something that it should really be fixed. But here it's a vulnerable website, so I believe they have nothing to be afraid of. But yeah, so analyzing this, we can also do, we can do a lot of analysis right here. But let me carry on and to our WhatsApp and have a look at anything. So let me see, active scans are still up. We don't have further attack rather than the SQL injection. I was looking at if the attacks have increased. So any other attack that I can see, you can see there are so many vulnerabilities here. So informational vulnerability, they are not that they are not very essential. Though it's something that you can also try and look at and fix it. They really don't have much of an impact. So these are the things that have been leaked, maybe in comments. You can see that's a web comment. Copy text, clipboard, some function here. There is so much. I really love this tool, WhatsApp. Even while dealing with the web, you can look at so much. There is so much to look at. There is so much to look at with OWASP. This is a tool known as WhatsApp, but as well, I wanted to talk about the OWASP 10. WASP 10 is another good way to focus your energy in web security. It's a very good way approach. So I said I'll also demonstrate with another tool whereby I'll be looking in terminal, to our terminal, and I'm going to use the wget tool. Let me see how I can reduce this. Let me just refresh. So there are so many, there's so much URL that you can be able to look at here. I'm still interested here in the forget password page. So I'll click it, and then I'm going to follow. I'm going to copy this, but I'll copy as CURL. Let's use the CURL tool. So copying it as CURL, I'll open my terminal. Let me root. Yeah, so I've copied that as CURL or curl, you can call it as that, whereby we are going to dump the entire HTML code, and even I'd like us to get the both the request and maybe the response. So I'm going to specify the method. So the method, I'm going to make it post. So here, so much headers, but for now, let me just work with it as it is. So here we are, we have been able to dump the HTML code. You can do an analysis on it. You can do analysis on it whereby you can look at various things. We have the header here. You can just do an analysis on the code and see where there is an issue as well. So this is a form of a code review, analyzing the code. This is just HTML code. It has some JavaScript as well. So there is a lot that you can be able to do while you are securing your website. Today, I'm just doing an overview so that you can have hint of what to do. This session has been recorded. You can have a review by yourself sometime. But there is a lot to do. This is not all. There is so much that needs to be done. Let me look what it's here. So there are so many things that you can do with this tool, the OWASP. You can see the methods that are being used. It will take a bit of some time analyzing everything. But lastly, you can come up with a report. You can be able to come up with a report that will document everything, that will capture all the results from the WhatsApp tool. So I hope up to that point, it has been it has been a bit informational. I like to lay out some few key things before we can call it a day. Still, I asked for some questions. In case someone you have a question, if you raise your hands, I'll be able to see. If you type it in the chat as well, Humphrey can read out. So to that point, this I've been demonstrating whereby I talked about the tips or the security-based practice for a web application. So this is one of them, having some guys to do some penetration testing to your website and fix the vulnerabilities that they found. That's one of them, whereby I talked about the white box, the black box, and the gray box security audit. The second thing that I was to mention is you need to ensure that your data is encrypted. I talked about the SSL and the TLS certificate. I think that I mentioned. You can also implement a real-time security monitoring. Like you should monitor your website or any other application in real time. Now, talking of web application, it really needs to have a 24/7 hour protection. Most enterprises use a tool such as the Web Application Firewall, known as WAF in short, whereby the Web Application Firewall is there to block any malicious activity. So the Web Application Firewall has been configured in a sense that it can be able to detect any activity that seems malicious or it's out of the normal, whereby most of these attacks can be SQL injection, we have cross-site scripting, or even if it's a DDoS attack or some bots that are being attempting to penetrate the system. So though with the web application firewall, sometimes you can receive the false positive response, whereby you know what false positive means. You can think this is a threat, but in real sense, it's not a threat. So there is other very efficient tool to use, such as the web security management platform. And then we have the real-time application self-protection. That is the RASP. And then I've also talked about the ASMP, Application Security Management Platform and Real-Time Application Self-Protection. Those are very efficient tools that you can be able to use to do monitoring on your system in real time. 24/7, you'll have your eyes on the web. In case there is any type of attack, it will be flagged. Then you need to follow a proper login practice. If you're a developer, you know what to do. If you're a developer and you are trying to create a system such as the website you are looking at, whereby it has a login system, you need to ensure that there is input sanitization. Any user input that is being inserted to the system, you can make sure there is some sanitization that is being done. That means you can specify the number of characters in a password. If you want the password to be at least 6 characters and no more than 8 character, or if you want it to be no more less than 8 character and no more than 10 character, it should be more than 8 or less than 10. Those are some of the input sanitization. You can also sanitize what characters are to be inserted, because some of the characters will confuse the SQL queries, can confuse to SQL queries, whereby it can end up dumping how now to exploit certain vulnerabilities. If we break down to, let's say, SQL injection, we'll need that now to focus maybe an entire session on just SQL injection, whereby now I can be able to show you how this SQL injection happens and how, again, we can protect it. I love doing a session whereby it's hands-on. Rather than having a speech, at least we see some practical being done. That's the best way to learn. I love it. So I said we need to follow proper login practices. Then your website should have a continuous check. You should need to do penetration testing to, like, checking for web vulnerabilities. It's something that should be continuous. I say for the entire life cycle of your application, it needs to have a continuous vulnerability check, because there's new vulnerabilities that come in every single day. Every single day we have new vulnerabilities coming into the market, so you need to be up to date. Also, you need to make sure that your software is up to date. You keep on updating your vulnerabilities, your tools that you use, if it's the web application firewall or the other tools that I've mentioned. You make sure they're up to date. Like for web application firewall, it looks at the structure or how that session looks like, and then it can be able to tell if it's malicious or not. There is some certain patterns that have been programmed or put in place to tell this system that if you see such a pattern, you'll be able to figure out if this is a malicious activity. Whereby if there is some new vulnerability coming in, it can be able to bypass your security mechanism. So it's good to update them to keep them up to date with the current vulnerability. I said you can make use of OWASP Top 10. OWASP Top 10 has a list of common web application vulnerabilities. You can look at it while even testing your website. Just have a look at it, see what are the vulnerabilities that you have fixed in your website. Is there any way that your website is exposed to any common web vulnerability? Like such a website we can see it has a potential of SQL injection, of which that's a critical issue. It has been flagged as high. Yeah. Yeah, so there's so much to look into. So another thing that you can ensure to make sure that your website is safe is to implement the security hardening measures. While I talk of security hardening measures, we are talking about things such as maximum script execution time. There should be a maximum execution time. You can disable modules. can disable the modules or the extension that are running on your web application server that you are not using them. If you're not using them, you can disable them because you might not know when they can be exploited. Supposing maybe it's outdated. Yeah, especially if you're having some outdated add-ons on your web server or any other thing. Make sure you do away with them. They might contain some vulnerabilities and it's not up to date, so it may end up affecting your application. Another thing to carry out under implementing security hardening measures is to add a content security policy. So talking of add content security policy, this is whereby you look at you can come up with a strong content policy that can prevent infection like redirection of malwares from like tackling over by specific trusting direct URLs. The content policy will ensure that there is no such a thing like you see the malware is being redirected and all that, the URL being manipulated. Those are the various ways that attackers are exposing our websites. The way I talked about the injection, a URL as well can be injected. So I've talked about carrying out regular vulnerability scan and update. That's something that really helps organizations to keep themselves secure from attacks. With a very regular updates on your security, doing a regular update, regular security check to your system, it's very important. So up to that point, I like to receive some questions. Humphrey, do you have a question?
I can't see any question. Maybe if someone has a question, you can ask.
Sorry, Humphrey. Okay. I don't know if I can. Hello. Sorry, just allow me. I cannot hear. Let me just adjust my volume. Yes, hello.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, thank you. My volume was low.
Okay, there are some questions on the chat, I guess, so you can look at them before we do the session.
Okay, so let me just go through very quickly. Ali, do you prefer Parrot in your opinion? Yeah, for my opinion, I do prefer Parrot. If you're having Kali, let's just have a look. I love Parrot because of it's easy to use. Like Parrot, I can customize it the way I want. To my first display, you could see some different stuff. To what you are seeing here. I'll minimize this so that you can have a look at it. I also love Parrot and Kali, and they're more or less the same. But now I really love Parrot because of it has more tools compared to Kali. When it comes to penetration testing, if you have Kali installed right now, you can just have a look and go to like tools such as when you do information gathering, you'll find that Parrot has so many tools that come pre-installed compared to Kali. Look at tools now like information gathering, so many tools. Parrot as well has Kali Linux also has almost every tool, but not as much as Parrot. There are so many tools that when you come here, you'll find them. I wish I had Kali to display. Maybe I could show some comparison. But you can see there is so much tool that comes with Parrot compared to Kali. Smithing and spoofing, digital forensics, automotive, reverse engineering, exploitation tools, if you're doing database exploit, payload generators, vulnerability analysis, so yeah, information gathering, network and port scan. All these tools, most of these tools, you'll find them missing. Like Kali has, yes, it has a lot of tools, but not as Parrot. Parrot has so much. Yeah, so I just love Parrot. For me, I'll prefer Parrot. And then my experience with Kali has not been that good. Sometimes I really face a lot of downtime. It crashes. I don't know why, but my experience with Kali wasn't good over years. So another question. Okay, there is a question about Web3. How can you enforce security in Web3 application? Even though Web3 will still have some various but the things that I've been talking about, doing a regular check, doing the penetration testing to your website, web penetration testing, to figure out if there is any vulnerabilities that are being exposed. Those can be some of the common vulnerabilities to look at. But Web3, it's still a bit new. I've not gone deep into it, but maybe when it becomes now live, it becomes part of us fully. Uh, that way we'll be able to figure out what new vulnerabilities have come in and see how we can mitigate them as well. But the common practices I've talked about will still play a big role in securing Web3. So another question was asked, what does one need to be a good SOC analyst? Yeah, so someone asks about what does one need to become a good SOC analyst. Okay, that question is a bit wide because just like if you want to become maybe good in whatever you do, it requires that I think it requires a lot of practice. But now, if we narrow down, like we're talking now about a SOC analyst, basically a SOC analyst, many people might not know what SOC is. Maybe I'll just explain. SOC is the Security Operations Center. SOC analysts are the people that deals with monitoring. You do monitoring on network logs. You do vulnerability analysis. You do threat hunting. Yeah, there is so much that is involved, but SOC is an operation that runs on 24/7 economy, whereby at no single point your eyes should be always in system capturing logs. You need to monitor them. You see if there is any malicious traffic and do some incident response, know how to mitigate the risk. So for you to become a good SOC analyst, first I'll say you need to be conversant with the common threats. You should go deeper and figure out even as new vulnerability come in, you are up to date. You must know what to use. For the SOC team, basically we use the SIEMs. There is a tool known as SIEM. So SIEM, there can be many. There are many types of SIEM. So I'll not specify any, but let me just type. Okay. I see someone has write SIEM on the chat. That's good. Yeah. So there are various SIEM that you can use, like such as we have Oka. Oka was a new SIEM tool that was introduced for the purpose of cloud. And then we have Splunk, we have FortiSIEM, we have Wazoo. We have so many SIEM tools that you can be able to use. Do you have any other questions? So for a SOC team, you need to at least be, I feel like you need to be even more of a penetration tester, because that way you'll be able to figure out how to exploit the vulnerabilities. And if you know how to exploit vulnerabilities, how to find them, that way it can be easy while you are monitoring. You can be able to see and tell if something is some threats that are not flagged by your tool, your same tool. You can be able to figure them out, and you can as you analyze the logs as well, the network logs, you can be able to see any activities that can compromise the system in different types of attacks. So I see another question in the chat. I'm being asked, in your opinion, between security testing and bug bounty, which one is good to go for as an organization? Between security testing and bug bounty. Okay, when you say between security testing, okay, we have penetration testing and we have bug bounty. They are more or less, they're almost the same thing, because they all deal, what they have in common is just looking at the bugs or the vulnerability that the system has and seeing ways in which you can be able to fix them. So bug bounty hunters, they look into the system, figure out what vulnerabilities are, and then come up with solutions. Penetration testers, their work is to penetrate into the system and then confirm, yes, the system is can be penetrated, like the system is vulnerable. So I think to my opinion, I'll say you need to combine both. Like you need to do with security, there is nothing to leave out. It's good to focus on, as an organization, look at the various options. While you do penetration testing, also do try to figure out if there is bugs in your system, and do other security measures. Even I said the security thing is something that should be non-stop. You need to do continuous audits on your system, continuous security audit. That way you'll be able to keep the organization or the enterprise safe. Yeah, do you have other questions?
Okay, then I guess there are no other questions. Maybe there's someone else with a question.
Okay, if there is no more question, then
Yeah,
okay.
okay, there is one from Olive.
Let me, okay.
Yeah, do you have to be a developer to learn DevSecOps?
Okay, as security is concerned, I always say you need to at least have an overview of almost everything in tech, because it's like when you come to a case whereby you need to do analysis on a code, that means you'll need to really understand a bit of code. Like, not, you cannot be perfect, like you know every programming language, or you're conversant with everything as much as programming is concerned, but at least you need to understand. You can have an overview. You'll find that if you learn if you are good in about 3 or 5 languages, that way you'll have at least knowledge to see. If you see any other code, you can be able to tell this is a different code. This code, it's used to do this and this. Even if you don't code it, but at least you can be able to read a code and understand it. Reading code is very important, because if you're able to read it and understand it, that way it will really play a big role while security is concerned. So my advice will be, I cannot tell you that no, you don't need to be a developer. Okay, you cannot be like a real developer, but at least make sure you understand code. Like, try to make sure you are able to look into code, you can read it, you can understand it. It will be of much importance. I hope you are contented with that, Olive. So I hope there are no other questions. Or
Yeah,
if
there are
there
no
is,
more questions. Yeah, I guess we can end
yeah,
the session.
so yeah, I'll just say thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for